Hey guys, hope your week or weekend is going well. Let's take another 5 minutes or so to talk about another game from my childhood that I seriously really adore, Twisted Metal 3. While there is quite a bit of discussion on which of the 4 games are the black sheep, it tends to lead towards 3 or 4. And while there's a lot in 99 Studios' rendition of Twisted Metal that is a bit lacking to single tracks, I'm not going to go into that. So if any of you are interested in that kind of history, I'm going to leave a few channels that I recommend below that talk about the whole lore of the game's life itself. For me though, Twisted Metal 3 was special. Whenever I was a kid, while I did own the first 4 games, I got them in order due to my mom thinking it was a racing game. From the intro of the game to the music at the main menu, I was already in love fairly quickly, and it's no wonder that my musical taste evolved from these games that I played as a kid over the years. Rob Zombie, Pitch Shifter, White Zombie, and the legend Lance Lenhart. The first thing I found cool about this game isn't even actually in the game. It's the case and the manual art. You have Sweet Tooth plastered on the disc in all of his glory, as well as other drivers here under the CD rest within the case. I always loved this about PS1 era titles, and it's a real shame we went so far away from the physical media. I am just grateful that I can still look at these and collect them over the years. Another thing I found really cool was the car selection. However, I want to say one driver stood out to me even as a kid. You might think it was the Junker Roadkill, or the construction worker Augur, or even Sweet Tooth himself, but no, it was our resident fast lad, Spectre. His car being a Viper, and my love from it stemmed from another PS1 game that I might talk about showcasing a Viper as its poster child for a while. The fast pace and grounded feeling of his car, along with the weak but deadly accurate ghost missile that can phase through floors and walls of the stage, was always a favorite of mine. And the noise it made, while not as special as Twisted Metal 2, it still is very much memorable for me. The physics in this game are pretty whack, but honestly, it allows for some neat tricks that other games just don't seem to have, like launching yourself up from a ramp to the top of the stage with the jump command. Though it's pretty funny whenever you get lobbed across the map due to an explosion. Sometimes. I'm also glad they brought back Darkseid. That's pretty cool. Mr. Ash has always been a strange being in the universe before he was replaced by Dollface. Again, there's a lot of history as to why he isn't in Twisted Metal 2 or 3 as a playable character. Pretty interesting stuff there, and it's a rabbit hole. But at least it's an enjoyable rabbit hole. I also found the specials of most of the cars pretty cool. And this rendition of Sweet Tooth isn't that bad. His car always had terrible controls, so I think it's pretty much a staple of the first 3 games. Considering the 4th one, he's an absolute monster and probably the most broken boss in all the games. I really like how they kept the sound effect from his special, and the clown laugh it's really iconic. And I wouldn't say it's as iconic as his Twisted Metal 2 special, but I would still put it up there in the top 3. Everybody really likes Twisted Metal Black, but we'll get into that in another video. You know what else I find cool about Twisted Metal 3? The stages. I know some of these are not anyone's favorite, like Washington DC or Egypt, but I genuinely enjoy the gimmicks of some of these levels, and even how simple they are, like Hangar 18 has this UFO you can go on top of if you blow up these switches around the map, which can pretty much insta-give anyone left on the ground level. Or Tokyo Rooftops, where you can take control of the satellite dish and zap people with the power of God and anime. But the stage that stood out to me the most was the finale, Calypso's Blimp. It starts off like any other stage within the game, but you soon realize there's a gimmick to beating this level. You need to find all the hidden switches to keep the enemies from respawning, so it becomes a survival game in the first half where you're collecting pickups and rushing about to destroy the consoles. For me, this was the best final stage out of all the 4 games. Sure, New York was cool from Twisted Metal 1, and Hong Kong was also awesome fighting Darktooth, as well as the Metro Tunnel that ran through the city. And yeah, the Carnival from 4 was pretty neat too, with all its verticality. But I find this final stage the coolest, despite the pit, which does make the stage a bit on the easier side. Speaking of Calypso, you know what I find cool about him? His dialogue. At the start of each stage or before a boss, it's usually very bad jokes, and the humor definitely didn't age well, even on release, but his sarcastic attitude, it gives this feeling that he isn't taking any of this seriously. He's kind of an asshole, but honestly, it's pretty funny.
You do believe in Santa, don't you? Let's say you drop by and put the fat guy out of business for good. Watch out for that mistletoe.
I really love his dialogue for Primeval as well.
I'd like you to meet an acquaintance of mine. He goes by the name Primeval. Be careful, he's not as friendly as the other contestants have been.
There is no jokes or jabs here. This boss is announced, unlike the others which at the end of your run through the game, you really have to play cat and mouse with him due to how strong his special attack is. He's big, his ram damage is pretty decent, but you can kind of cheese him into the pit. which I can totally do every single time without any mistakes. I'm most likely going to visit the other games in the series here as well, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. What do you find cool about Twisted Metal 3? Did it also leave a mark on your childhood? Miss the PSX era? I know I do. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.